Be the future when you access our digital hub.
Welcome to the news President A project number one news provider and your top stories. His Majesty the 2022 King's Cup. The Minister of International Cooperation Tuli Dladla says the Kingdom of Eswatini remains one of the nations that other countries are learning from as it remains committed to preserving culture. Deputy Prime Minister's World Food Program and the Eswatini have signed a memorandum of agreement to enhance the country's response to disasters. The news. His Majesty King Mswati III has officially launched the 2022 King's Cup Golf Tournament. Speaking during the launch at Lozito Palace, His Majesty applauded government and other organizing committee for the commitment and contributions towards making the tournament a success.
The King's Cup Golf Tournament has returned this year following a break due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This tournament is a product of His Majesty the King and Ingonyama, which is aimed at attracting business people from other countries and also tends to contribute towards developing the tourism industry. His Majesty has blessed this year's tournament. His Majesty King Mswati III says this year's tournament shows a significant growth.
Bekunene umsebenzi lona muhle kakhulu ngoba umsebenzi wegalufa lo fundzisa lo promoter igalufa eSwatini uthi sibe nema golfers uphinze ukwadi ukuthi uattract nalabanye lababuya ngaphandle kuleli batosingenela kulomsebenzi nabo babe ingcenye ye labatawube badlala igalufa lapha ngithi kaNkwane bekunene lesikholwa ko lokuthi kuyawukhuthaza nemaswati lamanyenti bekunene ukuthi abemanyenti emaswati latawusibuka le sport usidlala professional ngoba sine likusasa lelihle bekunene esigabeni ukuthi dinyenti tinto letiphumelelako nase ubonalisa ukuthi sobitwa ngalesa sigaba lesi ube ngwaza ubonalisa ukuthi uphuma lababonala ukuthi uphuma labavele baba sezingeni le bayawuba famous balingise lama golfers lakho nemhlabeni la famous ukuthi nala kithi kaNgwane sibheke lokho ngalelinye langa kuphume ama golfers la uphuma ayo represent live abonalise ukuthi awuphakamisa umjeka wakaNgwane bekunene.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says the Kingdom is very grateful for the relaunch of the tournament as it will develop tourism sector, which in turn will contribute towards the development of the economy.
Now that His Majesty has blessed this game to go ahead, the gates of tourism are open. As we all know, golf courses are always found, if not near, but as part and parcel of top-rated hotels. Even in our own country, that is the same. Tourism is a major contributor to the economic development of this country and to its GDP. Siyabonga wena waphakathi isupport le inkosi ikhombisile kulomdlalo wetegaluva kunekuvuse nako nje kuvuseni umnotfo welive lakangwane sisibayethe wena waphakathi.
As well as creating investment.
The Minister of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Moses Vilakazi, thanked His Majesty for such an idea, which he said it is a greatest opportunity to the kingdom. Speaking on behalf of the tournament's organizing committee, Mandla Dlamini said they have a vision of seeing the tournament grow, and also thanked His Majesty for entrusting them with such a huge project. This year's sponsorship is worth 1.9 million emalangeni, and it has grown when compared to previous years, despite the fact that this year the number of sponsors have lessened. Speaking on behalf of the sponsors, Eswatini Royal Insurance General Manager Zamangobo said they are grateful that they have been able to sponsor the tournament despite the economic breakdown challenges that they have faced the past 2 years as the business community. The sponsors of the tournament are Eswatini Royal Insurance, Eswatini MTN, Eswatini Electricity Company, and Nedbank. Participants in the tournament are from 7 other countries, which are Eswatini, Botswana, Malawi, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Kenya from East Africa. On the news, I'm Polly Lemazia at Lozita Palace.
The Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku says there's a great need for capacity building and mainstreaming disaster risk reduction and climate change programs in school curriculums. A statement by the Communications Officer, the Deputy Prime Minister's office, states that the Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku said this during the African Union SADC Multi-Hazard Early Warning and System for Disaster Risk Reduction meeting in Mozambique.
The Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku is attending the African Union and Southern African Development Community Multi-Hazard Early Warning and Action System for Disaster Risk Reduction meeting in Maputo, Mozambique. The Deputy Prime Minister is part of the African Union-led meeting that brings together ministers responsible for disaster issues, climate change and early warning. The meeting seeks to strengthen early warning and early action in the SADC region in order to attain the target of having early warning systems to reduce vulnerabilities and improve preparedness and response to natural hazard in the next 5 years within the continent. Making his submission, the Deputy Prime Minister emphasized the importance of capacity building and mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction and climate change in school curriculums. He further states that national governments should allocate a certain percentage of its budget to disaster risk reduction.
The second, whose 70-year reign spawned wars and a pandemic, 14 presidents in the founding town of the Britain-Past Empire has died. Her eldest son, Charles, is now king. The queen died peacefully at Balmoral afternoon. The royal family says in a statement, the king and the queen consort will remain at Balmoral evening and will return to London tomorrow. The longest serving British monarch was 96. Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor is also survived by her other children, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward and their spouses. Prince William, next in line to the throne, and Prince Harry are among her 8 grandchildren. Charles and great-grandchildren. With the Queen's death, the UK entered into mourning, and at least 10 days of carefully choreographed has been in the planning for years. London Bridge by Buckingham Palace, the government and the law enforcement. The events will dominate radio and television broadcasts, newspaper front pages and conversations over water coolers and backyard for days. Large crowds are expected to pay their respects as she lies in state in Parliament to lie in state. World leaders will begin arriving in the UK to pay their tributes before the Queen's state funeral at Westminster Abbey. She will be buried in Windsor Castle, the home of Britain's kings and queens for more than 1,000 years. The Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Thuli Dladla, says the Kingdom of Eswatini remains one of the nations that other countries are learning from.
Dr. Tangara Mamadou is here to witness Mhlanga ceremony. Making her remarks, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Thuli Dladla, says their majesties have been so welcoming to other nations who are willing to learn more about Eswatini.
Lobudlelwane lobu bakhiwa ngiyo ingwenyama because lapho ihamba khona wonke umuntu iyam-embrace. Naye weke kunene kuda lapha ufuna kubona umhlanga lo identity yethu lesitigcajako ngayo asitigcabhi sodwa. I-Africa nayo iyatigcabha ngokuthi livela kangwane lisagcine imihambo yayo.
The Gambian Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Tangara Mamadou, says the Kingdom of Eswatini is a true reflection of countries that honor culture.
We have seen in many fora the way the people, the subjects, they receive His Majesty. That's a pride for all Africans. When you go to the United Nations before he speaks, they showcase their culture. And I think culture is very important in our development process, because what Africa is suffering most from is the fact that we are seeing ourselves through the eyes of others. And when you see yourself through the eyes of others, you tend to follow them. And I met one old man during my research. I did research on what I call the African industry of knowledge. He said, when you follow, you are always behind. So it's important that Africans, we think for ourselves, do things by ourselves, taking into consideration our specificities. And you see, many things in Africa, we think that we inherited them from the colonial masters. But when you do deeper research, and I'm sure in Swaziland, in Eswatini, these are all remnants of the colonial masters, giving us names, but it's good that we reclaim our own identity. And the fact of calling again the Kingdom Eswatini, it's a noble act, a powerful one that is showing your attachment to your culture.
Minister Dladla stated that they are yet to have a meeting to look at opportunities that the people of the two countries can benefit from. For Eswatini, TV News Sondomlangini, Themba Shabangu, Ezulwini.
The Deputy Prime Minister's Office, World Food Programme and the University of Eswatini have signed a memorandum of agreement to enhance the country's response to disasters. Speaking during the signing ceremony in his offices in Babana, the Principal Secretary, Melus Masugu, says the agreement is an investment in resilience building for the vulnerable populations to ensure that when disasters strike, communities will withstand the impact.
Relationship on addressing resilience of vulnerable populations between the Deputy Prime Minister's Office, the World Food Programme and the University of Eswatini has seen the three institutions signing a memorandum of agreement. The Principal Secretary in the Deputy Prime Minister's Office, Melusi Masugu, says such an agreement will ensure government is always ready to handle disasters.
Amidst the ongoing humanitarian programs being implemented in the country, repeated shocks have continued to affect households, and the most vulnerable population groups have been mainly affected. It has therefore become evident that there is a need to enhance our work and invest in resilience building for the vulnerable population to ensure that whenever a disaster strikes, communities will be able to withstand the impact. Since 2019, the World Food Programme has provided technical and financial support to the Deputy Prime Minister's Office in the three-pronged approach to programming, and UNISWA has also provided technical support towards the rollout of the program.
The Vice-Chancellor at the University of Eswatini, Professor Justice Twala, says The agreement is a formalization of the links they already have with the World Food Programme and the Deputy Prime Minister's office.
Most recently, UNOSA has taken this partnership even further by contributing to the planning and implementation of the Seasonal Livelihood Programming initiative by WFP, for which the DPM's office has been the leading government entity. UNOSA, through the MOA, is further committing to continue providing the necessary support, technically and otherwise, to strengthen this partnership.
Melusi Gunene, the acting head of office at World Food Programme, says there is a need to strengthen support of populations to decrease vulnerability.
In this MOA, we are saying, let us look closer to resilience building. Let us look closer to the issue that are related to social safety nets. Social safety nets that are comprehensive, that are not only targeting the individual, but that will target the household, because we want to see the household moving out of poverty as WFP into a state where we can say now at least we are at a zero poverty rate.
The Principal Secretary says another aim of the agreement is to increase government's reach to vulnerable populations in disasters. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ndangamandla with Mbongwa Dube Mbabane.
The Magistrates Court has ordered that exhibits found in possession of ATM bombing suspects and those found at the scene of crime be seized and detained. The exhibits include 2 cars, over 409,000 Malangeni cash, sashes and size 11 sneakers. Some of the money was reportedly found in a KFC box.
The 4 accused persons in this matter are Sicelo Msibi, Mzwandile Lukele, Given Mavuso and Lindani Zita. They face 17 charges, which include allegedly using an explosive to damage ATMs, robbery, kidnapping, contravening the Money Laundering and Financing of Terrorism Act. The accused appeared before the Mbabane Magistrates Court, where there was tight security. The Crown made an application to officially seize and detain exhibits found at scenes of crime and in possession of the accused persons. The exhibits include 2 cars, over 251,000 Malangeni cash found at the scene, over 158,000 found in the possession of the accused, clothing which include size 11 sneakers, red sashes and cell phones. Defense lawyer Sivengwenya did not oppose this application but prayed that trial dates be set. The Crown, which was represented by Mncedisi Dlamini, submitted that the dates can be set. However, he would have to confirm with the Director of Public Prosecution, as he was yet to decide which forum the matter would be deliberated in. Ngwenya submitted that the Crown was dealing in bad faith, as they had agreed that the defense would not oppose any application and then trial dates would be set. It was later agreed and made an order of the court that trial date be set to 18 October. The court also ordered that the exhibits be seized and detained pending finalization of the matter. The matter is before Acting Principal Magistrate Sifiso Vilagati. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosema Vimbela with Vuminko Sinzinisa, Babane.
NAMPOD says it will do everything to ensure that officials who left with government's equipment pay for it. The board says this has already begun, as the official salaries for the previous month were withheld. This has been said by Sydney Dladla, who represented the board before the Public Accounts Committee on Thursday.
The Ministry of Economic Planning and Development appeared before the Public Accounts Committee on Thursday, where it answered on various audit queries, including assets given to NAMPOD for a certain project but were never returned. These include 3 cell phones and 2 laptops costing around 50,000 emalangeni.
Sikhuluma kuthi banyamalele nawo lamase sivaluation njani ingekho ngitibuta ama chances zakwenta lokho ukuthi noma batobuka depreciation nje emabhukweni kuphela but ngiva lendlela asho ngalo ukuthi bathi batawivaluation uyivaluation nje ngoba vela yikho at all
sibane isikhathi esinganani vele so ale ku nale ukuthi ke the time frame yale recovery kumbe ngakhona ngikusi share
kube akafiki auditor general wa identify le problem le ngabe nambodi uthini labantu ngabahamba nje nalama laptops. It's almost 6 months now.
Sydney Dladla, who was representing NAMPOD, responded.
Siyentile i-follow up saze sababhalela netincwadzi ema-letters of demand ukuthi bawalethe so-ke bathi-ke basengarespondi so the next step ukuthi sale center lele sikushoka ukuthi sitawu-evaluator nama-assets and then bese sesi-deducta kulo mholo wabo lesisulo sesewubambile.
The PAC noted that the cost of the assets might seem low, but what mattered was the principle that they had to be returned to government. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Parliament.
Members of the Public Accounts Committee say controlling officers seem to be failing to control bosses of public enterprises. The committee says this will continue for as long as the parastatal bosses earn more than the principal secretaries whom they report to. This has been said when the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development appeared before the PAC on Thursday.
Members of the Public Accounts Committee have claimed that principal secretaries seem to fear parastatal bosses. The committee said this makes it difficult for the controlling officers to have a say even when the public entities are sinking.
Sinabo CEO, baholi maleneng, they qualified, they have MBAs, bahluleka kuranisha lengamba. They are having these small things, so they're not controlling their staff. Bo CFO, ngabo bahlala tuka babona sinalo, aglungis. But the CEOs are just letting things go past. As long as the holy man, he's just letting them go past.
Controlling officer ngoba nguye lokufuna embaba abe answerable. Nale ma fines awela la kuye. Akakhoni ngani ke controller lama parastatals labo CEO lama parastatals. Ngoba vele unemandla ekwenza njalo. At the end of the day nguye lo hlala la labo controlling officer babe saba labo CEO. Basi bangababeka ukuthi babe sabe. Nyalo nje akahlangana nalabantu la. Ene utawuphuma lapha nje controlling office angakhona ukuhlangana nalabantu.
Umphatha njani umlohola kakhulu kunawe? Umcontrola njani? Umlohola ngentuli kwakho. Wamcontrola njani vele? Ngeke vele umcontrola. Lana nje kuyawuhlala kunje. Ngiko nje ukuthi labanye bathi hayi baye kumbe ngoba sengiminister naye uyiswa ukuthi uyadi ukuthi mabale cabinet nguye minister lokufute ukuthi hamba urenew contract kufuna we motivate kuthi into enjani irenew contract ngiko naye lendivuna kungathi uyaya ke naye mangaba otherwise uyababona nje ukuthi nawo batsebenzela laba nalaba bathi ngenelele.
This was said when the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development appeared before the committee on Thursday. The ministry's PS, Tapsile Mlangeni, submitted that she did not have control over the CEO she was asked about because the public entity, NAMPOD, was under a different ministry. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Parliament.
Dear viewers, now take a look at our financial updates.
Standard Bank, it can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV, and for sports news tonight, President of the National Football Association, Peter Samoras Milane, says preparations to host the Under-20 COSAFA tournament are going according to plan, and government has been playing a key role in assisting with preparations. The Kingdom of Eswatini last hosted the tournament back in 1993.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is set to host the 2022 course. The country last hosted the tournament back in 1993. Eswatini Football Association President Peter Samuel says preparations are going accordingly, with government also playing a key role in assisting with preparations.
Kulama games akaKhosafa emalungiselelo asasechopheleni leliselitulu nahulumende in terms of ukuthi basivumele sesikhulumile naye wasivumela ukuthi vele achubeke lama games naKhosafa naye so itfakile letimali lafanele atifake in order ukuthi lama games akhone kudlaleka kahle neteam letawudlala umongake nje unyonyobe uyoyibuka la ijima khona seyivele seyilungele lokuthi sengadlala. In terms of my preparation, the local organizing committee sebacishe bahlanganise tonke tintfo.
11 teams will take part of the tournament that begins on the 6th to the 16th of October this year, including the defending champions Mozambique, who defeated Namibia when last the tournament was held in 2020. For Eswatini TV Sports, picture sourced from Kosafa TV.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. His Majesty King Eswatini III has officially launched the 2022 King's Cup Golf Tournament. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Tulidladla, says the Kingdom of Eswatini remains one of the nations that other countries are learning from, as it remains committed to preserving culture. The Deputy Prime Minister's Office, World Food Programme and the University of Eswatini have signed a memorandum of agreement to enhance the country's response to disasters. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
I've just done my demonstration and it was on fire.
I think you love cooking, huh?
I bake a lot of cakes. There's such a vibe here, and what I'm loving is like the fashion, the food. It's just this really amazing combination of lifestyle, understanding, acknowledging and celebrating what makes us different, what makes us diverse, but also what makes us beautiful as Africans.
I just won the junior chef competition. I was very excited because cooking was one of the most favorite things I love doing.
Alright, let me start with my first recipe. So, I've got some raspberries that go on top and some mint. We love, 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 don't you?
It's a beautiful thing, it's a beautiful theme, and I think it should be a daily theme for Africa from here on into the future.